He had lost everything: love, hope, and the sound of his own laughter. Then, a silent stranger arrived, carrying a secret that would shatter his world and reveal the truth he never knew he sought. The rhythmic hum of the old refrigerator was the loudest sound in the cozy Vermont inn. Daniel Thorne, 35, ran a calloused hand over the polished oak counter, a habit born of years spent pouring his broken heart into restoring the quiet countryside retreat. Once a man brimming with dreams, he now measured life in cups of coffee served in guest rooms dusted, a stark reflection of the spirit he'd lost after being abandoned by the only woman he ever truly loved a decade ago, leaving him with an unyielding distrust of fate and affection. One rainy Thursday afternoon, the distant ring of the local church bell echoed Liam's past. Reverend Thomas was on the line. "There's a young woman, Daniel, who needs a place. She doesn't speak, we believe she's mute, but she's hard-working and kind. Could you offer her a position in your kitchen?" Daniel sighed. Complications were the last thing his carefully constructed solitary life needed. Yet, something in the Reverend's compassionate plea stirred him. "Send her," he said. The girl arrived soaking wet, her tangled brown hair clinging to an emaciated face. Her oversized clothes hung loosely on her thin frame, a stark contrast to the small, folded card she handed him. "My name is Clara Vance," it read in neat, delicate script. Below it, "I can't speak. I can cook and clean. Please give me a chance." She offered nothing more, simply bowing her head before vanishing into the kitchen. From that first day, Clara worked like a shadow, silent, swift, and deeply observant. She cleaned with a meticulous precision, prepared meals with a gentle care, and never asked for anything beyond the basic necessities. She never met Daniel's gaze, never flinched when he spoke to her. To everyone in the inn, she was simply the mute girl in the kitchen. But Daniel, accustomed to reading the subtle cues of his guests, noticed the little things about her. The almost imperceptible flinch when a loud noise startled her. The way her eyes sometimes lingered on the old family portraits hanging in the hallway, or on his own face, as if searching for a forgotten memory. And then, there was something about her eyes, that particular shade of green, that quiet sadness, that stirred a phantom ache in his chest. It reminded him, achingly, of Sophia, the woman who had stolen his heart a decade ago and left without a word. Sophia had vanished overnight after a passionate summer romance, taking all the color from Daniel's world. He had searched, written countless letters, called everyone he knew, but she had disappeared like mist. Now, Clara stirred echoes of that same lost summer. But he pushed the thought aside. It couldn't be. This was just coincidence. Nights were hardest. Daniel would sometimes pull out old, faded photographs, Sophia's laugh, frozen in time, her handwritten notes, a picture of them lying on the grass under a canopy of stars. And sometimes, he'd dream of a child's voice, a tiny whisper. "Daddy." He'd wake up shaken, the echoes of a phantom dream clinging to him. Still, Clara remained quiet, though her silent presence seemed to fill the inn with a fragile peace. Then, one stormy night, everything changed. Lightning split the sky, plunging the inn into darkness. Power went out. Daniel lit candles and went to check on the kitchen. He found Clara sitting on the floor in the dark, knees to her chest, trembling. He crouched beside her, gently placing his coat around her shoulders. "Are you okay?" She looked up. For the first time, their eyes met and held. Her lips quivered. Her hands shook. And then she opened her mouth. "You left me." The words weren't loud, but they struck him like a physical blow. He recoiled, staring in disbelief. "You're not mute," he whispered. Clara looked down, her voice shaking with the effort of finally speaking. "I was told to stay silent." Daniel was frozen. Daniel stood frozen, the small kitchen illuminated only by the flickering candlelight. "Told to stay silent," he repeated, his voice barely a whisper. "By who? Why?" Clara pulled something from her hoodie, an old, folded birth certificate, brittle with age. She handed it to him with trembling fingers. His hands shook as he opened it. Child's name, Clara Sophia Thorne. Father's name, Daniel Thorne. The room spun. I don't understand, Daniel gasped. Clara's voice, soft but stronger now, broke through the roar of the storm outside. You knew my mother, Sophia. She told me about you just before she died. Daniel's knees buckled. He sank to the floor beside her. She died, he whispered, his own voice breaking. Clara nodded, tears glistening. 3 years ago. Cancer. When she was sick, she finally told me about you. Said she once loved a kind man named Daniel. She showed me your picture. She said, if anything ever happened to her, find him. Daniel buried his face in his hands. Why didn't she tell me? Why would she keep you from me? She wanted to, but her family didn't. They hated you. They told her if she reached out to you, they'd disown her and me. Clara took a shaky breath. They told me I had no father, that I had no right to speak of you. They said if I ever told anyone your name, they'd send me to a shelter or worse. So, I stopped speaking. I thought staying quiet meant staying safe. Daniel's heart shattered. All these years you were suffering in silence, and I didn't even know you existed. He reached for her, pulling her into a fierce embrace. I'm so sorry, Clara. I would have moved heaven and earth to find you. You are not a mistake. You are my daughter. Tears streamed down her face as she fell into his arms, their bodies shaking with the force of long-buried pain and overwhelming relief. That night, father and daughter held each other for hours. Years of loneliness, pain, and confusion melted in their embrace. Clara had a voice again, and Daniel had a reason to live again. The next morning, the sun broke through the clouds, painting the inn's common room in warm hues. Clara made breakfast, the gentle sizzle of bacon filling the quiet kitchen. Daniel sat beside her at the table, smiling for the first time in years. She spoke softly, slowly, but freely. Her voice no longer chained by fear. The inn felt warmer, brighter, whole. Guests noticed the change, a new lightness in Daniel's steps, a new peace in Clara's eyes. No one asked about their past. They just saw love and healing. Days turned into weeks. Daniel, with Clara's hesitant permission, began discreetly investigating Sophia's family, particularly her powerful, old-money relatives whom Sophia had mentioned had opposed their relationship. He discovered that after Sophia's death, her family, led by a stern patriarch, Mr. Robert Hayes, had deliberately spread rumors of Clara's muteness and instability to ensure she remained isolated and never revealed Daniel's name, fearing a claim on Sophia's modest inheritance or the family's reputation. They had even bribed orphanage staff to keep Clara's past hidden. The revelation sickened Daniel, but also hardened his resolve. He wasn't just fighting for his relationship with Clara, he was fighting for Sophia's honor and their shared truth. He brought Clara to meet Reverend Thomas, who wept openly upon hearing her story. The Reverend, armed with the truth, began to subtly incorporate themes of hidden truths and suppressed voices into his sermons, speaking of those whose quiet dignity shines brighter than any lie. Community members, who remembered vague whispers about Sophia's family and a child who had disappeared, began to offer quiet support to Clara, a reflection of the small town's evolving conscience. Clara, encouraged by Daniel's unwavering love, began to share more. She revealed her deep love for art and painting, a passion Sophia had nurtured. Daniel, though not an artist himself, bought her supplies and converted an old storage room in the inn into a small studio for her. Her canvases, once filled with dark, abstract shapes, began to bloom with vibrant colors, depicting landscapes, portraits, and scenes of quiet, unburdened joy. One afternoon, as Clara sketched by the inn's sun-drenched window, Daniel received a call from a sharp-suited lawyer representing Mr. Robert Hayes. The Hayes family, it turned out, had caught wind of Daniel's quiet inquiries. They were offering a substantial sum of money, an attempt to buy Daniel and Clara's silence. Just take the money, Thorne, the lawyer advised. It'll be enough for a comfortable life. Don't stir up old ghosts. Daniel looked at Clara, then at the bustling inn. Money couldn't buy what he had now. He refused. His refusal sent shockwaves through the local elite, who were accustomed to getting their way with bribes and threats. A week later, he found a note slipped under the inn's door: "Some truths are best left buried. Next time, it won't be a warning." The threat was clear. Daniel's blood ran cold. He had underestimated them. He contacted a discreet but powerful network of allies he'd cultivated in his old corporate life. Lawyers, forensic accountants, and even a few sympathetic investigative journalists. He was going to expose the Hayes family, not just for Clara, but for Sophia, and for every hidden truth they had tried to bury. He would show them that some legacies aren't built on money, but on the quiet strength of those they tried to silence. Because sometimes silence isn't a flaw. Sometimes it's a shield. And all it takes is kindness to break through. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Your support helps us share more true, powerful stories of healing, family, and second chances. Thank you for watching, and remember, behind every silence, there's a voice waiting to be heard.